The listening lamp flickers to life, illuminating the space between worlds. Here, science whispers to spirit, and reality bends to imagination. Curl up in the cosmic glow as we unveil the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. The Cartographer, a short story written by Rob Corrigan, narrated by Rupert Deep.
In a small apartment overlooking the city, where the air hangs heavy with the scent of old paper and graphite, Sebastian hunches over his desk. His weathered hands move across parchment with a rhythm that speaks of decades of practice. The scratch of his pencil fills the room, sometimes soft as a whisper, other times urgent and insistent. Sebastian is no ordinary mapmaker. His charts plot no physical terrain, but rather the landscape of human experience. On yellowed papers spread before him, joy radiates in concentric circles from a newborn's first smile, its ripples touching an entire neighborhood. Intersecting lines trace the paths of strangers whose hands brushed reaching for the same apple, their potential futures branching out in gossamer threads. In a world where most see only what is, Sebastian murmurs to himself, I map what could be, what has been, and what lingers in the spaces between breaths. He's spent a lifetime honing this unique craft, learning to perceive the invisible currents flowing between people. His maps reveal the great, ever-shifting web of moments that binds us all. Many dismiss him as a foolish old man scribbling nonsense, but those who truly look, they understand. Lately, though, Sebastian has sensed a change. The moments flow differently, racing towards some grand convergence he can't quite grasp. His hands shake more than they used to, a tremor of urgency, or perhaps something else, guiding his pencil. There's still so much to capture, he whispers, his voice barely audible above the rustling of paper. So many moments crying out to be preserved. The light outside his window shifts, the city bathed in the golden hues of late afternoon. Sebastian barely notices, lost in his work. But then, the door creaks open, and the sounds of the city flood in. Distant traffic, pigeons cooing on the windowsill, the faint melody of a street musician carried on the breeze. With these sounds comes a young woman's voice, tinged with both affection and worry. Dad, are you still at it? I brought dinner. Sebastian looks up, blinking as if waking from a dream. His daughter Clara stands in the doorway, a gentle smile on her face. For a moment, the old cartographer seems caught between two worlds, the ethereal landscape of his maps and the tangible reality of his daughter's presence. Just finishing a thought, my dear, he says, his tone softening. These maps, you see, they're becoming clearer, more urgent. Clara's voice is patient, familiar with her father's obsession. I know, Dad. Why don't you take a break? The moments will still be there after you've eaten. Sebastian nods, carefully setting aside his papers. As he rises from his chair, bones creaking in protest, he can't shake a feeling of unease. Perhaps you're right, he concedes. Though time, my dear, time is the one thing I'm not sure we have in abundance. As Sebastian and Clara's footsteps recede, their quiet murmur of conversation fading, the room falls silent. Yet there's a palpable sense that something lingers. The papers on the desk seem to whisper among themselves, the maps sighing softly as they wait for their cartographer's return. In this moment between moments, Sebastian's life's work holds its breath, sensing perhaps that the most important chart of all is yet to be drawn. The next morning dawns grey and hushed, as if the city itself senses a shift in the air. Sebastian sits at his desk, pencil poised over a half-finished map, when a chill breeze rustles the papers despite the closed window. The lines on his latest creation begin to blur and shift, like watercolours bleeding into one another. Death arrives not with a bang or a whisper, but with the soft sound of settling dust. Its presence fills the room, invisible yet undeniable. Sebastian's hand trembles, but he doesn't turn around. Instead, he watches as the carefully plotted connections on his map twist and writhe, forming new patterns he's never seen before. "I've been expecting you," Sebastian says, his voice steady despite the rapid beating of his heart. "Though I'd hoped for a bit more time." In the kitchen, Clara hums softly as she prepares breakfast, the clatter of dishes and the aroma of coffee providing a mundane counterpoint to the surreal scene unfolding in her father's study. She remains blissfully unaware of the visitor, her movements a gentle reminder of life's persistence. Sebastian finally turns to face Death, his eyes bright with a mixture of fear and fascination. "I know why you're here," he continues, "but I have a proposition for you, a challenge, if you will." Death doesn't speak, but the temperature in the room drops a few degrees. Sebastian suppresses a shiver and presses on. "You've come to claim me, to add my moment to your vast collection. But I wonder, do you truly understand the value of a single human life? The intricate web of connections that each of us weaves?" From the kitchen, Clara calls out, "Dad, tea or coffee this morning?" "Coffee, please," Sebastian responds, his voice warmer for a moment before turning back to Death. "You see, even now, life goes on. Connections continue to form and reshape." He stands, moving to a large blank sheet of paper spread across a secondary desk. "My challenge is this. Allow me one day to create my masterpiece. A map not just of moments, but of an entire life. My life. Every connection, every choice, every ripple of influence spreading out across time." Sebastian's voice takes on an urgent edge, though he fights to keep it level. "If I can show you the true weight of a human life, the incalculable impact each of us has on the tapestry of existence, will you consider an extension?" Death remains still, but the maps on Sebastian's desk flutter as if caught in a phantom wind. Clara's footsteps approach, and Sebastian quickly adds, "One day, that's all I ask, to show you what a life really means." The door opens, and Clara enters with 2 steaming mugs. "Here's your coffee, Dad. Are you talking to yourself again?" she teases gently, her eyes scanning the room without seeing the profound encounter taking place. "Just thinking aloud, my dear," Sebastian replies, accepting the mug with a grateful smile. "You know how I get when I'm working on a new project." Clara nods, squeezing her father's shoulder affectionately before leaving. As the door closes behind her, Sebastian turns back to Death, his expression a mixture of determination and hope. "Do we have an agreement?" he asks, voice barely above a whisper. The room holds its breath, caught between heartbeats, as Sebastian awaits Death's decision. Outside, the city awakens, unaware that in a small apartment filled with maps of moments, the fate of one extraordinary cartographer hangs in the balance. Sebastian sits at his desk, a pristine sheet of paper spread before him like a blank canvas. Death's invisible presence looms, a palpable weight in the room. From the kitchen, the soft clink of dishes and Clara's gentle humming provide a comforting counterpoint to the tension in Sebastian's study. With reverence, Sebastian selects a pencil, its tip gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. He takes a deep breath, centering himself before lowering the pencil to paper. The first line appears, a bold stroke representing his birth, and the paper seems to inhale, a faint glow emanating from the mark. Each line is a moment, a choice, a connection, Sebastian murmurs, as if sharing a secret with the universe. The weight of the stroke shows its importance. He draws his first memory, a curved line intersecting the birth line. The apartment creaks in response, as if settling into a new configuration. Sebastian continues, his voice soft but intense. Emotions shape the map. Joy creates blooming patterns, while sorrow causes lines to fade or waver. As he speaks, the apartment seems to breathe with the map, walls expanding slightly with joyous memories and contracting with moments of loss. Clara enters, interrupting Sebastian's flow. "Dad, don't forget your medication," she says, worry tinging her voice as she sets down a glass of water and some pills. Sebastian pauses, the unfinished line quivering with potential. After she leaves, he incorporates her entrance into the map, a bright line connecting to the representation of her birth. The room warms slightly at this addition. "You see," Sebastian addresses death, "seemingly small moments can have large impacts." He draws a thin line that causes a ripple effect across the paper. A kind word to a stranger, changing the course of their day and perhaps their life. As Sebastian works, the room shifts subtly around him. Photos on the wall change almost imperceptibly, while books on shelves rearrange themselves to mirror the map's chronology. The cartographer seems oblivious, lost in his work. "It's in the spaces between events that true meaning lies," Sebastian reveals, drawing faint, spiderweb-like lines connecting disparate moments. The map begins to take on a three-dimensional quality, certain lines hovering above the paper while others sink into depths beyond the surface. Clara's voice calls out again, "Dad, don't forget to eat lunch." Sebastian's hand trembles slightly, a sign of his mortality that doesn't go unnoticed by death. Yet he incorporates this moment of care into the map, a golden thread weaving through recent memories. The apartment sighs in response, dust motes dancing in a shaft of sunlight. Sebastian pauses, surveying his progress. The map has become a complex web of lines, curves, and points. Death's unseen presence seems to lean in, intrigued by the intricate tapestry of a life laid bare. "There's so much more to show," Sebastian murmurs, his voice a mix of excitement and urgency. The pencil hovers over the paper, pregnant with possibility. The apartment holds its breath in anticipation, while Clara's distant humming provides a thread of normalcy. As Sebastian's pencil touches the paper once more, ready to unfurl another layer of his extraordinary life map, the scene fades. The small study has become a liminal space, caught between life and death, memory and possibility, with Sebastian's map the bridge between worlds. Sebastian and Death descend into the subway station, leaving behind the cacophony of the city for a different kind of chaos. The fluorescent lights flicker in unusual patterns, casting shadows that seem to move independently of the rushing commuters. As they reach the platform, Sebastian inhales deeply as if tasting the air. "Listen," he whispers, though Death has no ears to hear. The normal subway sounds, screeching trains, hurried footsteps, garbled announcements, reverberate with an otherworldly echo. Voices seem to come from nowhere and everywhere, their words lingering far longer than they should. Finding a quiet corner, Sebastian retrieves a small sketch pad that ripples like water under his touch. Death's unseen presence causes nearby commuters to shiver involuntarily, pulling jackets tighter against a chill they can't quite place. Sebastian's eyes lock onto two strangers on opposite platforms. To most, they are unremarkable. A young woman checking her phone, an elderly man reading a newspaper, but Sebastian sees the gossamer thread connecting them, pulsing with shared loneliness and a mutual, unspoken wish for connection. "You see?" Sebastian murmurs, his pencil flying across the pad. "Brief encounters, phantom possibilities, they shape us in ways we can't imagine." As he draws, the station responds. Lights brighten and dim in rhythm with his strokes, the ground shifting almost imperceptibly beneath their feet. Soon, Sebastian's perception expands to encompass the entire station. A vast, intricate web of connections materializes before him, some blindingly bright, others gossamer thin. He maps furiously, trying to capture the complexity of what he alone can see. A train arrives, bringing a surge of new energy. Sebastian marvels at how the web shifts and reforms, incorporating this dynamism into his map with blurred boundaries and motion lines. The sketch itself seems to pulse with the station's frenetic heartbeat. Suddenly, Clara's voice emanates from the subway speakers, cutting through the ethereal cacophony. "Dad, remember to rest. Don't overexert yourself." The commuters don't react to this impossible announcement, but Sebastian looks up, startled and then warmly acknowledging. In that moment, Sebastian's perception shifts dramatically. His connection to Clara superimposes itself on the station, a brilliant golden thread that outshines all others. The entire subway seems to exhale, as if acknowledging the profound power of this bond. Sebastian quickly incorporates this moment into his map, his hand moving with renewed purpose. Pausing to survey his work, Sebastian addresses Death once more. "Do you see now? How we're all connected, shaping each other's lives in ways we can never fully comprehend." Death's unseen presence looms closer, seemingly pondering this new perspective. As Sebastian adds the final touches to his subway map, the station begins to return to its mundane appearance. Yet there's a lingering sense that nothing is quite the same. The map folds into itself, somehow becoming compact while retaining its vast complexity. They ascend to the city above, the echoes of countless intersecting lives trailing behind them like a fading dream. Sebastian clutches his sketchpad, a universe of human connection captured within its rippling pages. In the harsh light of the surface world, he blinks, his eyes readjusting, not just to the sunlight but to the weight of the revelations hidden beneath the city's feet. Sebastian and Death step into the bustling emergency room, the sterile air a sharp contrast to the raw emotion permeating the space. In the waiting area, time seems to flow differently, stretching endlessly for some, racing by for others. The air hangs heavy with unspoken fears and whispered hopes. As they find a quiet corner, Sebastian cocks his head, listening. The beeps and hums of medical equipment coalesce into a complex melody. Major key tones sing of recovery and life, while minor keys whisper of struggle and potential loss. This ethereal music directs the ebb and flow of movement in the waiting room, a symphony few can hear, but all unconsciously dance to. Sebastian retrieves a sketchpad, whose pages seem to shift texture beneath his fingers, responding to the emotional charge in the air. As he prepares to work, nearby monitors flicker momentarily, reacting to Death's unseen presence. Closing his eyes, Sebastian begins to perceive the invisible currents of feeling swirling through the room. Hope manifests as soft, upward-flowing streams of light, while fear appears as dark, heavy clouds hanging low. The interplay creates a dynamic topography that Sebastian's hand itches to capture. As he starts to draw, the waiting room subtly reacts. Plants in the corner seem to bloom or wilt in response to his strokes, and the quality of light shifts, mirroring the emotions he maps. Patients and families unconsciously gravitate towards the higher ground of hope in his invisible landscape. A nurse enters, and Sebastian's breath catches. She bears a striking resemblance to Clara. Her presence sends a ripple through the emotional topology. Streams of comfort and reassurance flow from her, and for a moment, the discordant beeps of machines harmonize into a soothing melody. Sebastian's pencil flies across the page, incorporating this powerful presence into his map. He watches intently as the nurse moves from patient to patient. Each touch, each kind word creates a bright spot on the landscape. Fear recedes in her wake, hope strengthening. Connections form between strangers, united by shared experience and the gentle care of this Clara-like figure. Suddenly, an emergency team rushes past with a critical patient. The emotional landscape shifts dramatically. A surge of fear and urgency floods the room while hope coalesces into a focused, intense beam. Sebastian's hand moves frantically, trying to capture this dynamic change. As the crisis unfolds, Sebastian observes a remarkable phenomenon. The waiting room occupants unconsciously unite, their individual hopes and fears intertwining. A collective resilience emerges, visible on his map as a shimmering network of support. The Clara-like nurse moves through this web, amplifying and directing the shared strength. Sebastian pauses, overwhelmed by the complexity before him. "You see," he murmurs to Death, "this is the delicate balance of your domain. Hope and fear shape the experience of both living and dying, but it's human connection that truly defines these moments." Death's unseen presence looms closer, seeming to absorb this profound perspective. With a few final strokes, Sebastian completes his map. The waiting room briefly glimmers as if acknowledging its portrayal. The finished piece pulses gently in Sebastian's hands, alive with the ebb and flow of human experience. As they prepare to leave, the Clara-like nurse passes by, offering a compassionate smile that strikes Sebastian to his core. They exit the hospital, the beeps of medical equipment fading into a soft, continuing melody, a reminder of the perpetual dance between life and death. Sebastian clutches his map, now a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of uncertainty. As they step into the sunlight, he takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of the profound truths witnessed in that liminal space where life and death, hope and fear, intertwine in an endless, beautiful struggle. Sebastian and Death enter a secluded city park, the urban clamour fading into a tapestry of natural sounds. Here, trees whisper ancient secrets, and flowers turn their faces to follow passing couples like living sundials of affection. As Sebastian settles into a quiet spot overlooking the park, he retrieves a sheet of paper that seems to pulse with a faint heartbeat. The rustle of this special paper blends with the ambient sounds, birdsong, rustling leaves, a distant fountain, creating a unique melody of life and art. Death's presence casts a momentary hush over this symphony, a brief rest in nature's score. Sebastian's gaze is drawn to an elderly couple on a nearby bench. To his unique vision, they radiate a warm, golden aura of love. As he watches, flowers near the couple bloom out of season, and the air around them shimmers with contentment. Sebastian begins to map this flow of love, his brush strokes matched by the swaying grass and mirrored in the shifting clouds above. As he works, Sebastian's perception expands to encompass the entire park. He notes the varied hues of love painting the landscape. The effervescent joy of children at play causes flowers to sprout in their wake. The nervous energy of a first date creates a flutter in nearby leaves. The steady companionship of old friends provides a sturdy trunk for newer loves to climb. "You see," Sebastian murmurs to Death, "love isn't just an emotion. It's a force that shapes the very world around us." His map grows more complex as he traces the interconnections between these different loves, forming a web that seems to strengthen the very fabric of the park. Park-goers unconsciously move along the paths he's charting, drawn by currents of affection they can feel but not see. Suddenly, Clara materializes near Sebastian, as if stepping out of the map itself. Her presence sends a ripple of joy through the park. Birds trill more sweetly, and the old couple on the bench smile, touched by the echo of Sebastian's love for his daughter. "Dad," Clara says softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "It's beautiful." Sebastian's perception shifts dramatically. His love for Clara superimposes itself on the park, intertwining with all other forms of love and creating an even richer tapestry. He hurriedly incorporates this new dimension into his map, his hand moving with renewed purpose. As Clara slowly fades back into the background, Her disappearance leaves a lingering warmth in the air. Sebastian pauses, overwhelmed by the beauty and complexity of what he's witnessed and recorded. Love, you see, he explains to Death, his voice thick with emotion. It transcends time and physical presence. It nurtures and shapes our world, even when we can't see it. Death's unseen presence looms closer, seeming to contemplate this perspective on an emotion it can never experience. Sebastian adds the final touches to his map of enduring love. As he does, the park seems to glow softly as if acknowledging its portrayal. The old couple on the bench wave goodbye as Sebastian and Death prepare to leave. As they exit, Sebastian clutches his completed map, a testament to love's enduring power and its myriad manifestations. He glances back at the park, now forever changed by their visit, where the echoes of countless loves continue to shape the landscape in ways both seen and unseen. Sebastian and Death step into a bustling, otherworldly marketplace where the air shimmers with possibility. Stalls shift and change when not directly observed, and clocks run backwards, sideways, or in dizzying loops. The familiar sounds of commerce fill the air, but instead of haggling over prices, traders call out years, days, or specific moments. Finding a vantage point, Sebastian retrieves an hourglass filled with shimmering, color-changing sand. As he tilts it, nearby traders shiver, suddenly aware of time's finite nature in Death's unseen presence. Sebastian watches, fascinated, as a young woman trades a cherished childhood memory for a glimpse of her future. Nearby, an old man exchanges years of his twilight for a chance to relive his prime. The flow of time and emotion between people becomes visible to Sebastian's unique perception, a complex web of shimmering threads. As he begins to map these exchanges, the marketplace responds. Stalls rearrange themselves to match his chart's layout, and the very air seems to thicken or thin based on the intensity of trades. Traders move in unconscious patterns that align with Sebastian's observations. Look closely, Sebastian murmurs to Death. See how they barter with the currency of human experience. His map grows more intricate as he notes the varied nature of these temporal transactions. Bittersweet memories are traded for hopeful futures, moments of joy exchanged for periods of wisdom, shared experiences bartered like precious gems. Each trade adds a new layer of complexity to the tapestry of human experience he's creating. Suddenly Clara's laughter echoes from multiple stalls, a sound of unexpected joy in this marketplace of memories. Some traders pause, touched by the sound, while others seem invigorated, their trades taking on new energy. Sebastian observes how this joy influences the value of time in the market, and he adjusts his map, showing joy as a bright, connecting thread through the exchanges. Even here, Sebastian explains, his voice soft with wonder, in this place of calculated trades, joy finds its way in, changing the very nature of what people value. As he speaks, a profound exchange catches his attention. A figure, face etched with determination, trades their entire future for a loved one's well-being. The impact ripples through the entire marketplace, causing Sebastian's map to pulse and shift dramatically. Overwhelmed by the complexity before him, Sebastian pauses. You see, he tells Death, this is the true nature of time and memory. Our past shapes our future, and our future gives meaning to our past. Each moment, each memory, is precious beyond measure. Death's unseen presence looms closer, seeming to ponder the weight of the time it collects. With a few final strokes, Sebastian completes his map. The marketplace briefly freezes, as if acknowledging its portrayal. The finished piece pulses in Sebastian's hands, alive with the ebb and flow of traded time and emotion. As they prepare to leave, Clara's laughter echoes one last time, a joyful reminder threading through the tapestry of exchanges. Sebastian clutches his map, now a testament to the fluid, precious nature of time and memory. They exit the marketplace, the sounds of temporal commerce fading into a rhythmic ticking. Sebastian takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of the profound truths witnessed in this liminal space where past, present, and future intertwine in an endless, beautiful dance of human experience. Sebastian and Death approach a misty, ancient-looking bridge spanning a river that seems to flow in multiple directions at once. The stones beneath their feet shift subtly, revealing glimpses of different architectural styles, as if the bridge itself can't decide when it exists. Mist swirls around them, occasionally forming into fleeting, human-like shapes before dissipating. From the river below rises a murmur of forgotten conversations and unrealized potential, blending into a haunting melody of what-ifs and might-have-beens. Glowing ethereal fish-like forms, unborn possibilities, dart through the waters, their light pulsing in rhythm with the bridge's ethereal song. At the center of the bridge, Sebastian retrieves a set of prismatic pens that seem to write in past, present, and future tense simultaneously. As he prepares to map, Death's unseen presence causes the mist to swirl more frantically, as if time itself is uneasy. Sebastian watches, fascinated as passers-by flicker between younger and older versions of themselves. In his unique vision, he perceives the multiple timelines each person carries, paths taken and not taken, futures bright and dim. "See how fluid they are," Sebastian murmurs to Death, each life a river with countless tributaries and deltas. As he begins to map these branching and merging timelines, the bridge responds. The stone beneath his feet shifts to accommodate his perception, and the river's flow aligns with the timelines he's drawing. Passers-by unconsciously alter their paths, drawn by currents of time they can feel but not see. Sebastian's map grows more complex as he notes how each person's timeline interacts with others. Moments of intersection spark like fireflies, where lives touch and influence each other, choices rippling across multiple timelines like stones cast in temporal waters. A familiar brightness catches his eye. Traces of Clara's timeline intertwining with others. Her potential futures and past choices create a radiant, influential thread that seems to strengthen and stabilize nearby timelines. Sebastian smiles softly, incorporating this beloved influence into his map. "Even here," he explains to Death, "her light touches everything." His attention is drawn to a person frozen at a crucial decision point. Multiple potential futures branch out from this moment like a fan of light, each choice creating ripples that travel backward and forward in time. Sebastian maps this temporal nexus with reverent care, aware of its profound implications. Nearby, two strangers pass each other, their timelines suddenly aligning. Sebastian watches in awe as their flickering synchronizes, a prelude to a destined meeting. He captures the beauty of these lives about to intertwine, adding it to the tapestry of his map. Overwhelmed by the complexity before him, Sebastian pauses. "You see," he tells Death, his voice filled with wonder, "the past and future are in constant dialogue. Every life is connected across the span of time, influencing and being influenced in an eternal dance." Death's unseen presence looms closer, seeming to contemplate its role in this vast temporal web. With a few final strokes, Sebastian completes his map. The bridge shimmers in response, acknowledging its role as a nexus of time. The finished piece pulsates softly in Sebastian's hands, timelines shifting and realigning in endless permutations. As they prepare to leave, Sebastian notices their own timelines, leaving visible traces on the bridge. The river below seems to whisper his name, a chorus of voices from past and future melding into one eternal moment. Sebastian clutches his map, now a testament to the fluid, interconnected nature of time and human existence. As they step off the bridge, he takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless lives and endless possibilities captured in his rendering of this liminal space where past and future dance in eternal, beautiful complexity. As Sebastian's gaze lingers on the map, a new layer seems to materialize. Gossamer threads of light that weave through and beyond the timelines he's drawn. These, he murmurs to Death, his voice filled with awe, are the journeys of the soul. They cross lifetimes, dimensions, the very fabric of existence itself. The ethereal paths pulse gently, revealing connections far deeper than physical reality, hinting at a cosmic dance of spiritual growth and eternal becoming. Sebastian and Death step into a cosy, dimly lit cafe where the air hangs heavy with unspoken thoughts. Shadows dance on the walls, momentarily forming words when not directly observed, while steam from coffee cups twists into fleeting, emotive shapes. The gentle clink of cups and soft footsteps create a melody, underlaid with the whispers of words left unsaid. Finding a quiet corner booth, Sebastian retrieves paper that seems to absorb the weight of unspoken words. As he prepares to map, Death's unseen presence causes a momentary hush, stilling even the whispers of unuttered thoughts. Sebastian watches a couple sitting in silence, their unspoken words almost visible in the air between them. Nearby, a lone patron's regrets swirl in the steam of their untouched coffee. In his unique vision, Sebastian begins to perceive the flow of unspoken communication, a complex web of emotion and intent. "Listen closely," Sebastian murmurs to Death, to the eloquence of silence. As he starts to chart the negative spaces between spoken conversations, the cafe responds. Lights dim and brighten in rhythm with the intensity of unspoken thoughts, and tables shift slightly to match his map's layout. Patrons unconsciously adjust their body language, aligning with the currents of unsaid words Sebastian is mapping. Clara emerges from behind the counter, serving coffee with graceful efficiency. Sebastian observes how each cup she serves is stirred with unspoken love for him, sending ripples through the cafe's emotional landscape. He incorporates this into his map, his hand moving with tender precision. The map grows more complex as Sebastian notes the varied nature of silence. The comfortable quiet between old friends appears as a warm, stable glow. Tense silences of unresolved conflicts create jagged lines across his page. The pregnant pause of words just on the tip of the tongue shimmers with potential. A small act of kindness between strangers catches Sebastian's eye. A young woman offers her seat to an elderly man, their eyes meeting in a moment of wordless understanding. The impact of this gesture ripples through the cafe, and Sebastian adjusts his map, showing how actions can indeed speak louder than words. Clara approaches Sebastian's table, carrying a special cup of coffee. Their eyes meet, and volumes of love and understanding pass between them without a single word spoken. Sebastian maps this profound, wordless exchange with his daughter, his hand trembling slightly with emotion. Overwhelmed by the complexity before him, Sebastian pauses. "You see," he tells Death, his voice barely above a whisper, "silence can be more eloquent than any speech. These unspoken thoughts and feelings, they shape us, haunt us, define us in ways words never could." Death's unseen presence looms closer, seeming to contemplate the weight of final unspoken words it has witnessed throughout time. With a few final strokes, Sebastian completes his map. The cafe briefly falls into complete silence, as if holding its breath in acknowledgement. The finished piece seems to whisper softly in Sebastian's hands, giving voice to the unspoken. As they prepare to leave, Clara gives her father one last knowing look. Sebastian clutches his map, now a testament to the power of silence and unvoiced emotions. They exit the cafe, followed by the gentle whispers of unspoken thoughts, each a story left untold, but profoundly felt. Stepping into the street, Sebastian takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless unspoken words captured in his rendering of this liminal space, where silence speaks volumes and the unsaid echoes louder than any spoken word. Sebastian and Death ascend the winding stairs of an ancient clock tower, each step seeming to traverse not just space, but time itself. The air grows thinner, charged with temporal energy that makes Sebastian's skin tingle. As they climb, the deep, resonant ticking of the great clock above fills the air, each second heavy with profound meaning. They emerge onto the observation deck, and the city stretches out before them, a living, breathing entity pulsing in rhythm with the great clock. Sebastian takes a deep breath, the weight of his journey settling on his shoulders as he prepares for this final, culminating map. As he arranges his accumulated maps and tools, Sebastian's heartbeat falls into sync with the clock's ticking. He closes his eyes for a moment, centering himself, then opens them to a transformed world. The city below shimmers with a web of connections, strands of time and fate crisscrossing like a cosmic tapestry. Each person, each place, each fleeting moment is visibly linked to countless others. Sebastian gasps softly at the beauty and complexity of it all. A soft, ethereal hum permeates the air, the sound of memories and time being exchanged. Traders communicate in whispers and meaningful glances, their transactions transcending the need for words in this liminal space. Sebastian feels the vibrations of these exchanges in his very being, each one a note in the grand symphony of existence. The marketplace pulses with a rhythm that seems to align with the universe itself, every trade a meditation on the nature of experience and consciousness. "Do you see it now?" he whispers to Death, his voice filled with awe. "How every life, every choice, every whispered word is woven into the very fabric of existence." His hand moves with purpose, charting this ultimate perspective. As he draws, the city below seems to shift and align with his map, past, present and future, blurring into an eternal now. Patterns from his earlier observations emerge, the hope from the hospital, the enduring love from the park, the weight of unspoken words from the cafe, all intertwining in this grand design. Death's unseen presence looms closer, a palpable sense of growing comprehension emanating from the entity. The weight of Sebastian's work hangs in the air between them, a shared understanding of the profound nature of human existence. Suddenly, Clara's voice calls up from the city streets far below. Her words are indistinct, but the love in them is clear and true. This call creates a bright golden thread in Sebastian's map, anchoring the cosmic web to a foundation of unconditional love. Sebastian pauses, his hand hovering over the map. "Love," he says softly, "it's the constant in all of this. See how Clara's love creates a warm, stable center to this complex web? It's the tether that keeps us grounded in the face of time's relentless march." As Sebastian adds the final details to his magnum opus, the great clock seems to hesitate for a moment, as if in recognition of the profound truth being captured. The completed map pulsates with life, a microcosm of existence itself, held in Sebastian's weathered hands. Sebastian and Death share a moment of profound understanding, the weight of eternity balanced on the fulcrum of this single, precious instant. "In the end," Sebastian says, his voice barely above a whisper, "it's not about the time we have, but the connections we make. Every life touches countless others, rippling across time and space. We are all part of this grand tapestry, each thread essential, each moment eternal in its own way." As they begin their descent, Clara's voice calls again, guiding them back to the present, to life, to love. Sebastian clutches his final map, feeling the weight of all he's learned, all he's observed. He and Death step back into the world, forever changed by the perspective gained high above the city, where time itself pauses to take a breath. With each step down, the ticking of the great clock fades, but its rhythm lives on in Sebastian's heart, a reminder of the precious, fleeting, eternal nature of every single moment. Sebastian and Death cross the threshold into Sebastian's apartment, the familiar space now charged with newfound significance. The room seems to hold its breath in anticipation. Everyday objects, a worn armchair, a shelf of old books, a faded photograph, taking on an almost sacred weight. With reverent care, Sebastian lays out his completed map on his desk. It pulses softly, alive with accumulated experiences, its edges shimmering in Death's unseen presence. Sebastian takes a deep breath, his hand hovering over the intricate web of lines and symbols that represent a lifetime's work. "This," he says softly, his voice steady despite the enormity of the moment, "is us. All of us. Every life, every moment, every choice and connection." As Sebastian begins his explanation, different parts of the map illuminate in response to his words. He guides Death through the interconnected layers, each location they visited glowing with significance. The hospital's pulsing hope, the park's enduring love, the cafe's weighty silence. "You see," Sebastian continues, his voice gaining strength, "how it all intertwines. How each life touches countless others, creating this grand tapestry of existence." The map's glow intensifies, spreading beyond the paper to fill the apartment with a soft, golden radiance. Shadows dance on the walls, forming fleeting shapes of lives touched and moments shared. The very air seems to thicken with meaning. Death's unseen presence shifts, the temperature in the room fluctuating with its profound understanding. A sense of weighing, of judgment, hangs in the air as Sebastian shares his ultimate realizations. Life and death, time and eternity, they're not opposites, but parts of the same whole, Sebastian explains, his voice carrying the weight of his journey and the love he's witnessed. Each moment is infinite in its connections, each life a universe unto itself. As he speaks, the boundaries of the room seem to expand, encompassing infinite space. Echoes of laughter, tears, and heartbeats from the map fill the air. Reality and Sebastian's cartography blurring into a liminal space where past, present, and future coexist. Suddenly, there's a shift in the glowing ambience. Sebastian feels it, a bright point approaching, a familiar warmth. The door opens and Clara steps in, her eyes wide with wonder at the transformed space. Time seems to stand still as Sebastian, Clara, and Death regard each other. The map's glow intensifies, bathing everything in warm, golden light. In this moment, suspended between heartbeats, a profound sense of completion permeates the air. Clara's eyes meet Sebastian's, volumes passing between them in silence. In her gaze, he sees understanding, love, and a strength that echoes through the map like a steadying heartbeat. "Dad," she whispers, her voice blending with the harmony of the map. "It's beautiful. I can see it now. How love connects us all, how our souls weave through time and space. It's not just a map of life, is it? It's a reflection of eternity." Sebastian nods, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. He turns to Death, the question unspoken but hanging in the air between them. The glow slowly fades, leaving the room forever changed. Sebastian, Clara, and Death stand in this new reality, shaped by the profound truths revealed in Sebastian's life's work. The future hangs in the balance, waiting for Death's response. In this breath between moments, Sebastian feels the weight of every life he's mapped, every connection he's charted. He stands tall, Clara's hand finding his, as they face death and whatever verdict it will render. The apartment holds its breath, the echo of Sebastian's map pulsing in the silence, as the final stroke of his grand design awaits its ultimate judgment. In the wake of Death's unheard decision, a profound silence envelops the apartment. Slowly, the space returns to its normal state, yet it's forever changed, charged with the weight of revelation. Sebastian and Clara stand together, their very presence a testament to the enduring power of human connection. Faint traces of Sebastian's map linger in the air, gossamer threads shimmering between everyday objects. The world seems more interconnected now, even in its most mundane moments. A book on the shelf whispers the story of its author. The worn armchair hums with the memory of conversations past. Sebastian and Clara begin to speak, their voices blending in harmonious reflection. In the end, Sebastian muses, his voice soft with wonder, it's the connections that define us. Clara nods, adding, every small act, every word spoken or withheld, ripples out to touch countless lives. Their words weave together, creating a verbal tapestry of shared experience and newfound understanding. They look out the window, seeing the city with new eyes. Passers-by on the street below are no longer strangers, but points of light in an infinite web of potential. Look there, Sebastian murmurs, pointing to a young woman helping an elderly man cross the street. See how their timelines intersect, how this moment will echo through both their lives. Clara smiles, recognizing the profound significance in this everyday scene. Your work, Dad, she says, squeezing his hand. It will live on. In me, in everyone whose life you've touched. They reflect on the cyclical nature of existence, how every ending contains the seeds of a new beginning. Sebastian's fate remains unspoken, hanging in the air between them, both an ending and a beginning in itself. Outside, the world moves on. Traffic flows. People hurry past. Birds sing their evening songs. Yet there's a sense that everything has shifted, imperceptibly but irrevocably. Each interaction now carries added weight, laden with infinite potential. Time isn't a straight line, Sebastian says, his eyes distant. It's more like your mother's garden, Clara. Everything growing, blooming, fading, and returning in endless cycles. Clara nods, finding comfort in this new understanding of temporality. So in a way, every moment is eternal. Yes, Sebastian replies. Each instant contains all instants woven into the grand tapestry of existence. Suddenly, a faint sound catches their attention. It's familiar yet new, the whisper of pencil on paper. Their eyes meet in shared recognition, the sound of a new map being drawn. Listen, Sebastian breathes, a smile crinkling his eyes. The story continues. Clara closes her eyes, hearing not just the pencil, but the infinite potential it represents. New connections forming, new paths being charted. Their voices fade, blending with the sounds of the city, becoming part of the greater symphony of life. The room fills with the potential of countless new stories waiting to unfold. On Sebastian's desk, a blank sheet of paper catches the last light of day. As if drawn by an unseen hand, a single line appears on its surface. It's just a beginning, but it contains worlds. In this moment between moments, Sebastian and Clara stand at the threshold of infinite possibilities. Their story, like all stories, continues beyond what we can see, and somewhere in the vast interconnected web of existence, a new mapmaker takes up the task of charting the endless landscape of human connection. The pencil continues its dance across the paper, full of promise, full of life. As the first line appears on the blank sheet, Sebastian and Clara feel a gentle tug, as if the universe itself is inviting them to continue their journey on paths yet unseen, in realms beyond mapping. The room fills with a sense of infinite potential, of stories yet to be told, of connections yet to be made. In this moment, they understand that their exploration of life's grand tapestry is not ending, but evolving into something greater, more profound, a journey that transcends the boundaries of life and death, time and space, into the very heart of existence itself.
Thank you for illuminating your imagination with the listening lamp. If our tale has sparked a light in your mind, we invite you to keep that flame burning. Subscribe to our podcast and join us again as we continue to explore the vast cosmos of human experience. Until next time, may your inner light guide you through the mysteries that await.